Why would we don't just say, let us now just fold our hands and be pious and forget about being a crusade or a challenge or a fight? And also, what is the mystical oneness of the apparitions, and especially the apparition of Fatima and the crusade of St. Benedict Center? Now, if there are any questions, I'll be happy to hear them. And if I can't answer them right away, I will promise you the answer next week. Yes, Russell?
Your introductory remarks about Cardinal Ransom, you talked about we asked for something and they gave us something else. And nothing will change until they change the course. You hear a lot about they. Who are they? In your opinion?
Yeah, I mean the Pope and the Holy Office. I mean, in these matters I'm talking about now, they are the only authority that counts. They still haven't done what Father Feeney was begging them to do. Uphold and defend this dogma. They haven't done it. I mean, you say they didn't deny it, they are still affirming it, but weakly. And I mean, and they had a duty. We don't protest about what they did to us. They had a duty to defend those who are defending the faith, and they haven't done it. And something has gotten into their policy from the day they allowed the Masons to dictate the suppression of the Society of Jesus. That's when the Society of Jesus should not have been suppressed. I don't mind them doing it now. But Dave, did you have a question?
Have you ever known a priest or other Catholic with a zeal for spreading the faith who did not believe the dogma?
No, I don't think anybody can have the zeal to spread the faith who didn't believe the dogma. I think the two things are synonymous. To be willing to go like St. Francis Xavier, expose yourself to martyrdom, face the nations and preach the truth and tell them there's no alternative to it, and if you don't believe the dogma, you won't do it. Yes?
That's a loaded one, Brother Francis, because there's so many traditional masses now all over the United States that people know of where the dogma is sidestepped, and yet otherwise they're beautiful masses, and they're so religious, and I mean, all the traditions are held, and they believe in the mass, and they're real upset about the changes and the beautiful families and all of this piety, and yet they sidestep the dogma and get nervous about it. So it's really low.
Well, our answer is, I mean, I'll tell you Father Feeney's answer. Anytime anybody is saying the traditional Mass, we rejoice. Graces can come from it, regardless of the merits of the priest or whether he is the full faith or not or anything. Graces are coming and more people be benefiting from it. But we always tell them, and we have never attacked anybody who is defending the traditional Mass. Never. And we have been faithful to it ourselves. As you see, we never allowed any Mass here but the traditional Mass. But we tell them that their movement could not produce the fruits they expect until they get straight on that doctrine. There's something to have the traditional Mass, make it possible for people, to go to, but they will never achieve the results that they expect until they get straight on this doctrine. Did you want to ask a question, Pietri? No? Yeah?
Would it make any sense to celebrate the old Mass in English?
Would it make any sense? Well, I'd rather have the traditional Mass in English than the Novus Ordo in English. But if you want to go traditional, why not keep also with the Latin? I mean, I think there is a very special holiness to the Latin language. There are many values that are very Catholic. I feel that loyalty to the Latin, even if you don't understand, I mean, they have made so much importance to understanding everything, as if religion is algebra, I mean, we are meant in adoration to be facing great mysteries, and we don't have to understand everything. I mean, even there, I mean, anybody could get the missal and see what these prayers are about. They are always found on the other side. You can read them, you can meditate on them before you come to Mass, and so on. So you could keep me talking for a month on why we should preserve Latin. But if it came to the question of choosing between the traditional Mass as well translated, and it was very well translated, I have no problem with the missals we used to use. The English was always perfect translation of the Latin. There was no deliberate, malicious distortion that definitely has gotten into even the words of consecration. I mean, to me, I just get so angry when they say that pro multis means for all men. I mean, it's such a lie. It's such a damn lie. I mean, it's just, you say, well, some Protestant scholar said that in the Aramaic language, I mean, which is it's not the language of my country now. I don't understand it myself, but only about maybe a century ago, it was still the language of the country there. It was the language of culture and civilization, and there is a tradition of theology in the Aramaic language, or the Syriac. It's the same. Aramaic and Syriac are the same thing. To compare with the Latin tradition and the Greek tradition, the great doctor of that language is Saint Ephrem, and in some sense he's one of the greatest doctors of the Church. And you could get the faith thoroughly from him. To say that language, that was the language of civilization for 1,000 years, didn't have a way of distinguishing between all and many. And I mean, even you continue the very sentence, and it says, "Drink ye all of it." Why didn't you say, "Drink ye many of it"? You know, I get so angry because, I mean, to me, it's a manifestation of the bad intention by which they upset the whole tradition and wanted to introduce something new. And to know that Bunini is the one who presided over the whole thing, and then the Pope discovered what he was, and he sends him ambassador to Iran. I guess he thought the Khomeini would deserve a man like that. Yeah. Yes?
Regarding the dogma, it seems like it's been a deep thought over the centuries, no salvation outside the church being suppressed. And they just couldn't very well do it overnight. So, it's been happening for a long, long time, but it seems to have escalated with Father Feeney in this century. I'm wondering that if the Second Vatican Council, the Ecumenical Council, can you see any kind of parallel or correlation with that being like the coup d'etat of the dogma? Like as a smoke screen, just to finally try to put that dogma to rest? By making it look like dogmatic, and finally the fathers have spoken in this council just for that dogma, and everything else is side dressing.
No, you said that it has been denied over centuries. It hasn't been denied.
Well,
it has been
like the Masonic influence, knowing that they had to destroy the church, they have to destroy this dogma.
Yeah.
But it seems like the council sort of put like a seal upon it, where...
Yeah.
An attempt at confusing the minds of many people.
Yeah. Now, I have told you the story of the patriarch of the Melkites, Maximus V, after he read my letter to Archbishop Tawil, and he said to all the bishops there, all the Melkite bishops were meeting in a big synod, and the patriarch insisted that I should go and face them, which I think in the providence of God was intended, wanting to be a challenge, how could you be more of a challenge? And he said to them, 50 years ago, every Catholic in the whole world would have defended what these people are defending. Now, he's not a stupid man. I mean, even after he made that statement, he seems to act as if he never, But in some sense, nobody was ever, even when the issue arose at Boston College, when I was there were priests there, many priests, who completely were on our side. And it was more a matter of cowardice that they just didn't stand up with us. But even the worst priests, the liberal priests, never said that they didn't believe that there's no salvation outside the church. They were always saying, well, it's just a question of how to interpret it, It's a matter of interpretation, how to understand it and so on. They didn't think that they were denying it. Well, today, they openly, if you ask most people today, is there salvation outside the church? They say, yes, there is. So now that line was crossed somewhere, and if you think it was